Today I'm going to talk about the 21-day corporate fast that I did January going into February of this year. And we're at the end of February now. March is technically like the real new year. So I think it was no better time. And also, just personally, things that have been going on in my life, I think that this was the perfect time that I could have done a fast. I wanted to start out by giving just some background on my own spirituality and religion and just relationship to God, just to give an idea of like where I'm at, where I've come from, where I am, and then like why I got to fasting. So I did grow up in the Christian church, Baptist and non denominational. So I got saved and baptized when I was 7 years old, and was always, I'll have always had a very strong foundation in relationship with God throughout my life, and with in church as well. I will say that like going into my late teens and into adulthood, I definitely transitioned into being someone that considers myself more spiritual than religious. Not to say that I'm not religious at all. Like I do still consider myself a Christian. I love Jesus. I read the Bible. I do attend, the Christian church, but I also have opened myself up to understanding way beyond what I was initially taught, like specifically in the church that I grew up in. It was very much about the religion. It was very much about sin, and you do this and you don't do that, and like making people, I don't know, just putting people on the spot. Like there was just a lot of things that like I that made me uncomfortable and that I didn't necessarily agree with. And then we did move to another church that was a lot more aligned with where I was as a teen. And I'm very, very grateful for that because that helped continue that foundation as I was like coming of age and like able to think for myself and like be realistic, because like that emphasis on sin can really like create a lot of shame and guilt around your religion versus like the understanding of what God is supposed to be. And specifically, the Jesus that I'm reading in the Bible doesn't match up with the Jesus that you're talking to me about. But anyways, so as I like got into college, I definitely started to more learn. I went to an HBCU. I went to Howard University, and during that time, I learned a lot about Blackness and Black people that I had not learned before, including religion. And I won't even call it necessarily questioning, but I definitely had some curiosity and just some like question, or I guess, okay, I guess I was questioning, like, am I worshiping the right God? And I did have like a very clear sign given to me. Like I asked for a sign and I was given a very clear sign that the God that I have loved and believed in throughout my life is still that same God and was still with me at that point, still with me to this day. So, anyways, as I became an adult, still attended church. I lived in Indy for a little bit before I moved out to LA. And when I came to LA, I did start attending a church here, one of the more popular churches. But it got to a point where no one ever knew like whether the pastors were going to be there or not. And I started to only go when I saw that they were going to be there, and otherwise I would stream. And then pandemic happened. So of course at that point I was only streaming, and then that was really all I was doing up until about last year, if I'm honest. Last year I was in a really dark place. I think I have a video where I kind of talked about it a little bit. But one of the things that was suggested to me outside of like seeing a licensed professional was just kind of getting back into church and like what foundation and community and what it brings to you. And that was probably one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. I've been attending Faithful Central Bible Church for, I don't know. Wow. Wow. I just counted and I have been, this is so perfect. So I have been attending Faithful Central Bible Church for 9 months now. I just joined and I'm getting rebaptized at the end of March, but I will get back to that later. So they announced like maybe beginning mid January that they were going to start a corporate fast. And because of like different things that have been going on in my life, I knew that it was the perfect time to do a fast and do a fast for real. Because back at the church that I went to when I was in high school, they would do the Daniel fast, but I never participated in the Daniel fast. What I would do is just like I would give something up. I would give up sweets, or I would get off social media, or like it would just be something like that. It wasn't like actually a full diet because I always felt like, well, I'm small, so I have to eat. I can't lose weight. That was kind of like my excuse. But this year was different, mostly because of everything that has transpired over the past year of my life, and in particular, something at the very beginning of this year. So I went home for the holidays, but to Indiana and Atlanta, and had a really good time. And then I came back to LA. I want to say like first or second weekend of January. I can't remember. But anyways, like within that first week that I came back, my friends invited me out. I can't remember if it was like for something, or I don't know if it was somebody's birthday. We knew who was DJing. Like, I'm not sure. But either way, I was kind of just like, yes, like, cool. I want to get cute. I'm going to keep it chill, have a little special candy and some wine once we get there. Like, I'm going to just get a glass of wine. And, like, it's just going to be a chill vibing, just vibe. So that was how the night started. Had a glass of wine, had my special candy, having a good little time. Then somehow we ended up in somebody's section. Somehow I ended up like taking like 4 shots, like very out of character because I can drink, but I'm not really a drinker. Maybe that's a part of like the Howard in me. It isn't, it's not a maybe, it is. Like I can drink, definitely. I'm not a lightweight, but I'm not a big drinker. Like I'm very much more Cali sober kind of vibe, if you know what that means. And yeah, um, so yeah, somehow things escalated so quickly. Maybe 10 minutes after I took all these shots, they turned the lights on and it's time to go. So as we were walking out, y'all, why did I fall twice? Luckily, we were just on a side street where we had parked, and it was just my friends that saw, or I think it was just my friends that saw. The Everything was spinning when we were in the car all the way home. I ended up just like sleeping on my friend's couch that night because I definitely was not about to drive home. And yeah, it was just like very, very extreme and like not what I usually do. And of course, the next day I was very hungover. And again, like I don't be binge drinking that often, so I don't really have any hangovers like that. And I was just like, yeah, we're going back Cali sober. And then I want to say it might have been that exact same week was when they announced the fast. So I'm like, yes, let me get it together. Let me go ahead. So transitioning into the fast. So what was included in this fast, it wasn't quite the Daniel fast, but it was no meat, no sweets, no dairy, no alcohol. I added cannabis to that with the alcohol. And I also tried to kind of do like a financial fast in a sense of just like only buying things that I needed. I wanted to spend more time like reading my actual journal entries from the fast because I did journal every single day. I don't have time. I'm not going to read all of this, but but I do want to say at the first week of the fast was really hard. I don't know if it was specifically things that were going on, but it was really hard just like weaning myself off of like all of the food and things that I had had right before. I was extremely emotional during the fast. I was extremely hungry, but I was very focused and disciplined during the fast. Like I will say that is one thing that I think was very necessary for me and that I was able to take from it, whether it's in my business, things that I don't want to do daily or weekly. I'm more disciplined in that sense. I think as far as like my own self-care, like something that I've taken from it is I am very diligent about my prayer and my quiet time in the morning. That is something that I have carried on from it. So actually maybe that's something I should talk about too. It's like kind of what I was doing during that time. Each day I would read 2 devotionals. So I would read the daily soap from my church, and I would also read the devotional in my Jesus Calling book, which my mom got me last year. So I already had like started to be pretty good about at least reading this in the morning. So, and it's the note taking edition. So each day has like a little area where you can write. But I don't always write in that. Most of the time I just read it. If I write, I usually write in my journal. But anyway, so I would read the devotionals and then I would write just based on something related to the devotionals that I read and also just like how I was feeling, just to like get my thoughts and feelings out. And then I would pray. I don't know. I would pray first or journal first. I don't know if there was like a specific order, but those were the things I was doing every day. And also taking time to just like meditate and be quiet, because I think that's an important thing that people might miss in, being able to receive downloads. You can read the word, you can pray, but you also do need to take time to like meditate on it and like kind of hear God's voice. And it's not necessarily going to be just like a huge blaring voice, but I think like you have to like leave space for those things that you prayed about and read about to come to you. Um, so yeah, so that was a part of it. And then as far as my food, I was like very, adamant about planning out my food. That's something that I have not carried over as far as the discipline has been in the food, because I think I more so was just excited to eat again. So I haven't really like planned out my meals as much as I was during the fast. But I was doing really good. I was like making some cool recipes with just veggies, and also just getting older. I've already started to just be kind of that person where I'd rather have a meal with veggies versus all the extra meat and stuff. And I actually was I've had a pescatarian diet at times. I've stopped eating beef and pork at different times. Like I didn't eat beef or pork for like 5 years in my early 20s. So I've been able to give up certain foods for certain periods of time, but it hasn't been like all meat, all dairy. And I think it was the dairy that was the hardest part for me, because even in like a salad or something, I love to just like sprinkle a little bit of cheese or, certain dressings. So I had to I figured out how to make a really good Greek salad by just like chopping up vegetables and making like my own little like lemon type of dressing that was really, really good. I also will say like the most important thing that most people want to get from a fast is like becoming closer to God. And that absolutely happened because of the fact that I didn't have my like vices and foods. And I also didn't realize how much I get comfort from food, like from ice cream or different things like that, or getting Chick-fil-A. Like that's like my Chick-fil-A and ice cream are like my like bad day or a good day. Like, oh, I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna give me some Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna give me some ice cream. Or I'm having a terrible day. I'm gonna get me some Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna get me some ice cream. So like not being able to rely on those things that like provide me like a fake feeling better. I really had nothing else really to do except for pray, except for read, except for, find something else to do. um because I didn't have those other things to rely on. I couldn't go have a glass of wine. I couldn't have my little special candy. See, I have such a more powerful understanding of what fasting is because of that and why we fast. Each sermon during that time period was tied to fasting and just different reasons that we need to fast and like what we can get from them. Even I never thought about fasting for protection. And I'm not going to get too personal, but after he finished a sermon one day, he had us actually like journal in church, like write out things that we wanted to protect, like ourselves, other people, like our possessions. And I have a testimony in the sense that like the first person that I wrote down after me was protected in such a major way in these last couple weeks since I fasted. So I can literally see the fruits of what seeds that I planted during my fast and while during that time of making sacrifices. And also something that we did that he had us do at the very end of the fast, we had Holy Convocation, and he had us all write on note cards like what we were trusting God to do during our fast. And I wrote those things, and one of the things on my note card has already come to pass in that time period. So I think that has also showed me that um, God did this, so God can do those other things too in my life. And I just have to continue to remain faithful and continue to stay connected and continue to, do the things that I've already been doing. Now it's on another level, and I have like such an even deeper connection to God. And I also want to say that I wasn't just hungry and irritable and like emotional during that time. Like it it was the fact that I was feeling all of my feelings extremely deeply. So even the joy that I felt was extremely deep as well. And I will also say that having to face everything, including yourself, can be the hardest thing to do, but it is also the most rewarding thing to do, because I had such clarity. I had such like everything was so clear while I was fasting. But again, it's because I didn't have any of the distractions that I usually have. So my thinking was so clear, my creativity, like whether I executed or not, but like the ideas that I came up with during that time, I think my decision making during that time, like even when things were hard, that resiliency bucket, I know that I talked about in another video before, like my resiliency bucket was being filled up during that time, even though I felt like at times I felt like I was like physically weak or exhausted. Um, Spiritually, I was I was on another level. I was unstoppable. And speaking of that too, I slept so good during that fast. And it surprised me because again, like I will use certain things to like what I think is helping me calm down or think is helping me get a full night's sleep, but I slept so good. Like when I worked through the day, I had my dinner, I was ready to lay down and go to sleep. And then I would wake up early and I woke up feeling actually feeling like very refreshed. And it felt more routine as well, which I'm not really someone that loves routine. Like I like to have variety in my day. But that was so good for me to see the benefits of having, more of a routine. And even if we don't necessarily do things at a strict, like I'm going to do this at 6:35, this at 6:45. Like we don't have to, it doesn't have to be that strict, but like I was saying earlier, like I'm going to read my devotion, I'm going to journal, I'm going to pray. Or if I don't journal, at least I'm going to read my devotional and I'm going to pray like every single day. Non negotiable. It's going to happen. Yeah, overall, I think I covered everything that I could as far as my experience with the fast, but I highly recommend, even if you're not necessarily religious, I definitely think that it's necessary in order to like take you to another level in the specifically in the areas of your discipline, in your like mindset, in your physical health as well, just like cleansing, cleansing yourself, um, being able to limit distractions, and just become stronger and become better. I think this sacrifice and letting things go is key to being able to make room for the things that you are setting out to do or setting out to gain, and also just getting back to self, um, is so important. In a few weeks, I'm about to get rebaptized because I feel like I'm in just a completely different space in my relationship to God and my spirituality, religion, and than when I was, 7 years old. Like I absolutely knew what I was doing when I was 7. No one forced me to do it. Obviously, there was an influence, but it was more so just like, yeah, it's a decision. Like, yes, I believe this and I'm accepting this and I'm going to do it. Like, that's more so what it was when I was 7. But now it's more so just like a rededication of my life, and just being able to publicly show that and share that with my community and with my people that I love the most. I'm definitely inviting everybody, and I want to have like a brunch or something afterwards to celebrate. And also, this year is like a huge milestone birthday for me. So it's just my Saturn return is in March also. So I'm going to be doing this during my Saturn return. Child, that's a whole other video, what that means and what that is. Okay? But yeah, I think there's just no better time than, me coming into this big birthday, me, like I said, the Saturn return, it being the technical like new year, and also it being 9 months from when I started attending the church. So I think that's all I have to say on this topic. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all of that good stuff. And just thank you so much again for watching, especially on, something like this that isn't necessarily always really a fun or exciting topic, but it is important. So thank you. God loves you.